the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a and everyone, whoa,
Yeah.
can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
On camera, she laughed while she badgered her staff. And so all good things must end. And also the Ellen DeGeneres show. Yes, the 83-year-old entertainer just announced that the upcoming 19th season of her show will be its last. Apparently, she created a workplace more toxic than an Amazon warehouse in Chernobyl.
Ellen DeGeneres kept the smiles going, but questions kept building. Then Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld stepped in, and the tone changed fast. What once looked untouchable suddenly faced serious scrutiny. And the deeper the conversation went, the more the image started to shift.
Beautiful name, Isis.
Ellen's rough.
Ellen is like an old...
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show. That's a rough one. She's out there dancing with Kristen Bell, and in the back, there's people that are getting up on the rack like this.
It's so weird when you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She does.
Countless allegations surfaced last summer that the show's work environment was rife with harassment and discrimination. Following those charges, Ellen's ratings dropped faster than Kevin Spacey's pants at a boy band.
According to various reports, Ellen DeGeneres, known for promoting kindness on screen, faced criticism over what some described as a tough, high-pressure work environment. The contrast raised questions, because the image audiences loved didn't always match the experiences being discussed behind the scenes.
Got a show business. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, because I'm mean. Yeah. Yeah, you can't be mean and be in show business. No, they'll kick you.
If you're enjoying this, hit like and subscribe. Then came Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld, bringing sharp commentary and unfiltered takes. Their focus? Ellen DeGeneres. And suddenly, the polished daytime image started facing serious questions. Here's a clean, short, more engaging rewrite white down pointing backhand index.
She doesn't seem nice, but that's people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around.
Ellen DeGeneres was known for her be kind image, but some reports suggested a different experience behind the scenes. Stories began to surface about strict rules on set and limited interaction with staff. For many, that contrast raised eyebrows, because the image people saw on screen didn't always match what was being described off camera.
DeGeneres bails for the UK. All right, I'm going to go to you first, Kat, because this is such a... I think you understand this story. So Ellen and her wife, Portia, have left their millionaire haven of Montecito for England. Now, they're saying they'll never come back in the wake of Trump's win. Do you think that's the reason why she's leaving?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, Ellen got canceled for real a few years ago from just being a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like a single comment she said or something she did. Just lots of people saying that working for her was a living nightmare and that she's a jerk. And I think that's probably why she wants to leave, because she hasn't really been able to make a comment.
Joe Rogan, known for wide-ranging conversations, turned his attention to the discussion around Ellen DeGeneres. Alongside Greg Gutfeld, the focus shifted to the contrast between public image and reported behind-the-scenes experiences. And the more it was discussed, the more that contrast stood out.
Made progress with the strike.
They're picketing right now, so I think it's the early stages. I would think it might take a little bit with this one.
When someone crosses the writer strike, that's some dirty shit. They cross the picket line.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet.
I think Ellen did. I had a buddy of mine who was writing on Ellen. Everybody kind of knows now what she's really all about. And that's another one of those. Like, I'm so nice and I'm so sweet. Being behind the scenes.
Ellen DeGeneres built a brand on positivity, dancing, giveaways, and a feel-good image loved by millions. But then, reports from former employees began to surface, painting a very different picture behind the scenes. The contrast sparked major discussion. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld also weighed in, pointing out the gap between public image and reported workplace experiences. And suddenly, the perfect daytime image didn't seem so simple anymore.
Why I was quitting, I would have not come back this year. I really did think about not coming back because it did, it was devastating. I am a kind person. I am a person who likes to make people happy.
No, the real reason, she says, is it was just too easy. Telling the Hollywood Reporter, quote, when you're a creative person, you constantly need to be challenged. And as great as this show is, and as fun as it is, it's just not a challenge anymore. Well, if that's true, here's an idea. When your viewership is down to 43%, why not consider that?
Oh, be clear, this wasn't just about kindness. Ellen DeGeneres built a public image around positivity, but behind the scenes, reports and controversies told a more complicated story. The contrast became a major talking point. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld also highlighted the gap between the public persona and the moments that raise eyebrows. And suddenly, the be kind image didn't feel as simple as it once did.
When you become successful, you have to spend less time with people around you because you're servicing, take Ellen DeGeneres, she's servicing millions of people in her show. Therefore, she has to kind of like mitigate or control the amount of exposure with actual real people. Does that make sense?
It does in theory, but but I'm still always hanging out on the street and I'm super famous. But all these reports, there were so many of them of people being like, multiple people had the same story of her handlers before an interview or anything with her would come up and say,
Ellen DeGeneres defended herself by saying she was friends with everyone, but that explanation didn't settle the debate. As criticism grew, the situation escalated into a public apology, watched closely by staff and audiences alike. The moment sparked even more discussion about the gap between public image and workplace reports. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld also reacted, pointing out the irony and contradictions in the unfolding narrative. And just like that, the conversation around her brand shifted again.
The Today Show, home of Matt Lauer, that the bad press actually had nothing to do with her decision. Right, and the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg.
There's something striking about how the public perception of Ellen DeGeneres has shifted over time. On screen, everything looked perfect. Dancing, smiles, and carefully crafted positivity. But behind that image, discussions began to surface that painted a very different contrast. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld also highlighted the gap between public persona and behind-the-scenes narratives. And that contrast is exactly what kept the conversation going.
Emily, I watched her comedy special. Mm-hmm. It was like a huge pity party. It was about how she was lamenting how her reputation has suffered. She's essentially as popular as a pit bull with monkeypox. But she's putting this on Trump. Do you think that she's going to be, just everybody's going to love her in England?
Especially the jihadis who love the lesbians so much. They're going to love her there.
Trying to fix that kind of damage was like rebuilding something after everyone already saw it break. Ellen DeGeneres kept making efforts. New staff, new statements, new direction. But the conversation only grew louder. Each attempt to reset the image just added more attention to it. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld both pointed out the growing gap between the public persona and the narrative around it. And that contrast is what kept people talking, long after the spotlight moved on.
It was St. Patrick's Day, and Ellen asked me to dress as a leprechaun and come out on stage. And this is where, if you're wondering the low point of my career.
When you say she asked me, you're like, this is not a request.
It wasn't a request. I had to do it.
Yeah, you're doing this.
When you make an employee get in a leprechaun outfit and he's Irish, that's just cruel. That's racism.
Yeah.
I think that, why wouldn't that be? Think about other races. Would you have taken a Chinese employee on the Chinese New Year and put him in one of those big pagoda hats and made him dance to gong?
Even Ellen DeGeneres' humor began to feel different over time. Less playful, more sharp. What once looked like light comedy started raising questions about tone and intent behind the scenes. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld also pointed to the growing disconnect between the public image and the discussion surrounding it. And that contrast is what kept the conversation alive.
Coming back from this, Ellen DeGeneres has seemingly vanished from public life after years of dominating daytime television, leaving many wondering what really went on behind the scenes. Recently, Joe Rogan mentioned Greg Fitzsimmons, who was one of her former writers during a podcast, but what many people missed was Greg already opening up about his experiences working on the show in a previous interview, and let's just say it's not all rainbow.
Ellen DeGeneres built a career on a perfectly polished, feel-geared image, bright, upbeat, and highly produced. But over time, that image sparked public debate and mixed narratives about what was happening behind the scenes. As conversations grew, commentators like Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld added their own perspectives on the gap between public perception and reported experiences. And suddenly, the story wasn't just about one show. It became about how celebrity images are created, maintained, and questioned. Because in the end, the bigger question isn't about one personality. It's about how easily we trust the picture we're shown.